What have Man City been doing with their money? Where have they been spending it? Where has it been coming from? Tell us. No, please tell us, because you have even more money than we have, said the Premier League to this guy, Sheikh Mansour, and his family, who are indeed the royal family of Abu Dhabi. There have been charges that have come out this morning, of course, from the Premier League, but Martin Ziegler broke the news on Twitter, and then it went from there. Man City are charged by the Premier League with numerous breaches of the financial rules following a 4-year investigation. And that's a 4-year investigation of pretty much the whole time that Man City have been owned by the Abu Dhabi royal family, and specifically, obviously, Sheikh Mansour and a couple of other people running it at the very top. Don't want to get too political on this. I just want to break down what this actually means for Man City. But of course, in this, a big thing that most people are going to be saying, hey, these rules have been broken. Rules that I didn't know until this morning or even necessarily look into. So when people are talking about the rules and tweet about the rules, just remember, no one here's a professional. There's only a couple of people who really know about the rules and have really researched it. Very few other people have actually looked into it. That's why I made a chart. This guy's a good-looking guy in the first place. I think you can't, you can buy anything in the world, but you can't pay for jeans like that. Or I actually do think that this, in terms of looks of a ruler, he's got great eyes. Let's get into it. The Guardian got a couple of quotes here. Basically, along the way, the Premier League also got rather annoyed with Man City because A, they failed to provide a true and fair view, up here, of the club's financial position. They failed to include all details of some of the deals that they did, surprisingly. And they failed to comply with the rules regarding financial fair play. And they also failed to cooperate with the Premier League investigation. Is this ringing any bells for anyone else? Is it? Because Man City have also failed to comply with UEFA in the past, by the way. UEFA, of course, banned them in 2020. That's my little bit here. It says banned them from the Champions League in 2020 after being found to have broken the financial rules. The European governing body then overturned the ban. So it was appealed in the Court of Arbitration for Sport. They were found... It wasn't that they weren't found necessarily not guilty. It was just necessarily found that their evidence that was provided, and sometimes the rules that were broken were then no longer applicable in this age. Like, is it enough time had passed between them for them not to be relevant anymore, or for Man City to suffer? Which can be unusual in sport because, dynasties can be built over years, but here we are. Man City, of course, create more commercial revenue, as we know, than clubs that have been established for a much longer time, such as Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Manchester United, and Liverpool. Seems legit. Man City, most of the breaches were either not established or time barred. That's what I should have said there. And Man City also said at this point that there was a clear and organised attempt to damage the club's reputation. And I want to flag this at this point. All of these are charges. They aren't necessarily representations that the club have actually done anything wrong or that the people at the very top have actually broken any rules. We still have to find out, and I will get onto that in a second, whether they did actually break any rules. Does this guy look like a rule breaker to you? Ignore the caption. Sheikh Mansour is said to help manage ties with the Russians. Because that's not relevant. Russians are not all bad guys, as we know. But the point is, here's some awkward photos. Why would I talk about Roberto Mancini in this time? Roberto Mancini, of course, never received any end of the table payments from Man City. Nothing was ever proven, but it was alleged. And a few people said, hey, that might not be in the interest of fair play within the league. Unusually so. Look at him. He's gorgeous. That man would never take any payments from anyone that he shouldn't. But what I will do is mark him with red at the top. Just so that you guys know, maybe a dangerous character in this. I mark Sheikh Mansour in green, just because I think he's a good guy. And that is kind of it in this, is depending on what side you're on. I know I sound a little gleeful, excuse me, it's been a long Premier League season. But people are going to pretend that this is about sides, and I'm not necessarily sure this is about sides. I'll tell you why it's not about sides in a second. But first of all, Adam Crafton has done some great work on this. Adam Crafton. He works for The Athletic, of course, fantastic journalist. And the fact the follow button isn't hit there is because I took the screenshot from an account which is not logged in. I do follow Adam Crafton. Many sponsors examined, which he has done, had dealings with Abu Dhabi, the Sovereign Fund, which was managed by Al Mubarak, who also has some links with Man City, of course. So, just saying. They're all legitimate deals, but of interest is how such wealthy and connected owners opens up a world of opportunities. This is what he's saying are the rules really reflective of a true and fair world? Not necessarily. But this kind of brings me on to my next point. These guys are well connected, right? So there was a deal with WeWork, and they had a lot of people who had interests in both Man City and WeWork. That's not unusual in sport. Like, Liverpool got Dunkin' Donuts, or Manchester United got Chevron. People have converging interests. It's just that with a lot of the people who are connected with Man City, it just seems that a lot of those times those interests converge to such a degree that the people doing the deals seem to slightly overvalue the deals. Sue me. They're not going to sue him. They will take points away. But the point is that Man City at this point, how can I put it? This isn't about sides. This isn't about whether you're a Man City fan or not. If you're a Man City fan, if you're a Liverpool fan, if you're a Manchester United fan, you should basically feel that you want a financially fair and overall footballingly fair playing field for everyone. Sure, there will be advantages. Liverpool have advantages from their connections in the States. Manchester United have always taken advantage of the fact they have connections with America. Would you say that is somehow insider trading? I don't think it's insider trading, but is there some sort of you guys have done something here that exploits the connection that you have, that's business, isn't it? So these rules up here that have allegedly been broken are nothing to do with the overall alleged sports washing and business interest that Man City have. These are two separate things, all right? And that's what I'm saying in this. Whilst we can paint Man City as the bad guys, like they said in the past with UEFA when they were investigated, hey, other people have broken the rules. Do you want us to talk about that? It seems a lot of the time like some people are looking for reasons to not do deals with certain people from certain areas of the world, or that they're focusing on certain people from certain areas of the world. Say when Saudi Arabia, who don't own, of course, Newcastle United came in, some rules changed because some Saudis, the Saudis weren't involved. It's PIF. But I'm just saying, sometimes it can seem a little bit like Britain's connections with America seem to have favourable business, and sometimes Britain's historic, and they do have hugely historic connections with the Middle East, don't seem to be valued. Do you see what I'm saying here? So I'm not saying Man City are the good guys, but I'm also not saying they're the bad guys. I think a lot of people break rules in football. I think a lot of people operate in the grey. I think a lot of people don't do nice things. I think a lot of people, in fact, do underhanded, awkward, bad, sometimes rule pushing, sometimes rule bending things, which aren't necessarily, as what happens on the field, in the interest of fair play. One thing that this level of money gets you is a certain level of sway in the world. Now, you can have a lot of sway, and sure, that's important. But reputation is important to a royal family. Representation of where you're from is important. And so just having your honour and your reputation called into question isn't great in the first place. And having other people dragging your dirty laundry or accusations or whatever it is you want to say into public, like for instance, I said earlier, links with the Russians. Some people are going to see that as negative. I think being linked with Russia in general is probably a great thing. They're a great country. They're great people. But there are people at the very top of any organization where there is corruption. And that is something that is endemic within society, right? So what I'm saying is, let's not pretend like there is a holier than thou type sort of situation here, but also let's treat people who are rich as accountable people within football. They are not above everyone else because of that. But it is worth noting that some people would describe some of these accusations as cooking the books, and that therefore they would describe some of these things as unfair within sport, right? So it's worth noting that whilst Man City are still only alleged with this, and probably not one of the only propagators of bending rules within sport. They have shaped what has gone on in football and in the Premier League for the past 10, if not close to 15 years now. And that may have influenced decisions that other clubs made, or other investments that other people made, or influenced other things like that. And I think it's worth noting, whilst they're definitely not talking about going back and stripping titles or any of this stuff, they're talking about things only moving forward. This is not about a backwards move, and that's from some top journalists right now. It's just worth saying, even a butterfly effect type sort of thing, like a James does his ripple effect idea. The ripple effect of this is big within the Premier League, and it is worth noting that it changes how other teams invest. It changes how other teams choose to do their strategy, because they go, well, how are we meant to reach that level in order to have success? And margins in sport are small, so it's just worth noting that, all right? We're not talking about going back and stripping titles, but we are talking about the feeling that people are left with. And I think a lot of people, especially when we're talking about business in sport, forget that it's also about what you make people feel. This isn't just a business. So Man City getting caught for some of these things here, which we will get onto now, means that they will be independently investigated by a commission, which is going to mean that the Premier League have to bring someone in. And due to Rule W82, one of my favourite rules, it will be confidential and heard in private. So we won't know the outcome, and we won't be able to necessarily get much insight into what happens or is said in the room, because everything's done behind closed doors. And we all know the Premier League operates in a very fair way. Of course, Statman Dave brilliantly bringing attention to the fact that Man City, despite the fact that if they were to receive a 15-point ban due to financial irregularities or financial rule breaks, say like Juventus and Serie A, they'd still be above Liverpool and Chelsea. Chelsea, technically, they'd be above on goal difference, but they'd still be above Liverpool and Chelsea, showing how far ahead of everyone else Man City are. Now, some people will say, hey, every team breaks rules. I get that. But it's also to what degree those teams break those rules. It's to what degree those rules are bent. It's to what degree those teams decide to exploit some of these issues. And I think every team should be investigated. I think every team should be held to account. And sometimes I don't think some teams are. But we found out about Man City. Maybe we will find out about others in coming weeks. In some of the investigations, I believe Mashiri was looked into. I believe Fulham at one point might have been looked into. There are a couple of other teams that were looked into, and sometimes there were things that were raised which were in the Premier League's interest. What I'm saying is, within this, Man City could lose a serious amount of gravitas. But losing 15 points is a blip to them. Losing money is a blip to them. The Premier League have to find some form or some way of punishing these big teams and internationally owned companies in a way which actually hurts them in a sporting way or is some sort of issue. Because Man City will have a big summer this summer. They will try and sign a Jude Bellingham. They will try and sign other people in the midfield. They will try and sign new defenders. They will move on Bernardo Silva. Players will not blink twice at any issues. So they will, because they think that, hey, if they bent those rules once, cool, I can move on if I want to, or I can benefit from them. Players don't get their sporting legacy marred by Man City losing points in the Premier League or whatever. What I'm saying is these things don't really hurt the clubs. Maybe it hurts Juventus temporarily, but not in the long run, man. They're an institution in Italy. Man City are now an institution that helps local business too. So while we're busy punishing them off the field, and the sports washing is a problem, we should also look at what this means for the way that the West and the Middle East are wrapping each other up and together, and how they are helping or not helping each other. What we do think is wrong, what we do think is right. How owners should own a club. Where money should come from, how the money should be spent, what the money, all these kind of things. I'd be interested to know what you guys think in the comments below. I don't want to make this video too long. It is an interesting one. They've basically broken rules. Could they lose points? Yes. Will it probably affect them this season? Most probably not, because the investigation will go on privately. It probably will be appealed, and it will take a long, drawn-out amount of time. Man City already do not have a great reputation. So what is the damage that's actually being done here? Be interested to know what you guys think in the comments below. I've outlined some stuff. Still just want to go back to these two great guys. There he is. Sheikh Mansour, highlighted in green. Probably a good guy. Mancini, highlighted in red, because he beat England at Wembley. Sorry for being too gleeful about this. Didn't mean to be too gleeful. Liverpool's owners have probably done some not so great stuff as well. Every club employs PR people. Man City themselves employ people, agencies, who specifically have in the past, maybe for Man City, maybe not, I'm just saying, a PR technique, which I will outline now, which I'm not saying is linked to Man City, is to muddy the waters. Is to say things like, this was a surprise, or say, we did not expect this, or say, we believe that there are other people who have also broken the rules. We believe that the rules are generally being broken in general. We believe that these deals are all legit. The whole point when you do something wrong is to reduce the impact of something you have done wrong. So over the next week, expect ridiculous tweet threads. Find sources that you trust. Find a way to have an open and honest conversation. I'm not here to allege that Man City have done things. What I'm here to allege, what I'm here to say, is that I think that we should have a much more open and honest conversation. And here's I'll read the headline to you, right? Man City haven't yet issued a huge statement, but Man City FC is surprised by the issuing of these allegations, breaches of the Premier League rules, particularly given the extensive engagement and vast amount of detailed materials the EPL has been provided with. The club welcomes the review of this matter by an independent commission to impartially consider the comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence that exists in support of its position. As such, we look forward to this matter being put to rest once and for all. Do you remember that? Do you remember that image? Man City lawyers marching. Shall I just find it? Man City lawyers marching. Where is it? Where is it? Where's there? See this? I can play it. Look at this. Look at those guys. Man City lawyers leaving after ban is overturned. It's grainy, sure. But there they are. Don't be surprised if Man City come out of this exonerated. Don't be surprised if they're innocent.